right, you guys, welcome to the Iron and Honor podcast, where we forge men of strength, purpose, and discipline. This is a battleground for those who refuse to live soft, aimless lives.
And as Ephesians 6:10 and 11 states, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and the power of his might, put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. All right. So, guys, today, like we always like to do, we're going to actually start this podcast out with a prayer. So, if you would, bow your heads with me. Father God, we come to you first and foremost, glorifying your holy name. Thank you for another opportunity to fellowship with one another and share in brotherhood, Father God, as iron sharpens iron. We pray right now, God, that you would anoint our voices and allow everything that we share today to be a blessing to whomever may be listening, Father God, that you would guide and lead the conversation. And Lord God, as we like to do, is keep you in the center of all things. So we thank you for allowing this opportunity once again, and we glorify and lift up your holy name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, guys. So today, we're going to get to learn a little bit about Tim here. So let's go on for the ride. Tim, how you doing today, brother?
I am doing, shoot, if I was doing any better, vitamins would take me, man.
I like the sound of it. I like to hear that, man. So jumping right into it, man. What got you started in your lifting journey? Obviously, this is a page for bodybuilders, about bodybuilders, and how it kind of formulated our lives. What got you on your lifting journey?
So I started lifting really young, man. I was always obsessed with strength. And this might sound really white of me, but have you ever watched the show Dragon Ball Z before?
Oh, hey, that's my joint. So yeah.
I got so obsessed with Goku when I was in early middle school, like fifth or sixth grade. And there was a specific part that really drew me to like training. Didn't know what bodybuilding was yet. And that was when him and his son, Gohan, I believe was his name, they got in the hyperbaric chamber. That was like
Yep.
they could spend a day in there, but it was like really like a year. And they
Yep.
were in there just straight up like doing push-ups and eating a bunch of pasta. And then they could dial up the gravity. And the gravity was like resistance. And when they come out, they're like all Super Saiyan, like jacked. And I'm like, fuck, you can train and you can get muscles. So I was so obsessed. I was drawing them and I'd make up my own characters. They all had the crazy spiky hair. And then
hmm
I started setting up my own training camps outside. I had no equipment. My dad owned a construction company. So I would set it up with like cone drills because I really love football and like ladders and tires. And I had like sledgehammers. And then I had big old rocks that I was like picking up and like setting down. I didn't know what I was doing, but like I had this whole like 3 hour routine at age like 10 that I would go
hmm
outside in our yard and I would just put it in my parents were like, what is going on with this kid? 7 days a week, man, 7 days a week. So that was my first interest into building muscles. But
Right.
like the weight side of it didn't come in until my seventh grade year. My dad bought like a one of those it was like a home fitness thing that had like the bench press, it had a pull down, it had leg extension, ham curl, it
Yeah.
had a pec fly on it, and then he
Oh
bought
wow.
a squat rack, a bench press, and some it was dumbbells, but they were ones that you had to like put the little plates on and spin the things tight so you could adjust the
Yeah.
weights. So like I was out there, I would do my training program, and then I would do the weights. And my dad, like, he started working out with me, and he was a marathon runner. Like he ran ultras. So like
Uh,
he would have this like he led the way as soon as he came out. He's like, all right, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna do this circuit over here, and meanwhile I'm gonna run over here, and then we'll switch, and then we'll go back and forth 3 times. And so it ended up getting me really good shape for football.
right.
And so like that became I became started to become very obsessed with weight training. Like everything I do in life, I don't have a lot of things that I'm very into, but the things that I'm into, I'm like very into. I've become very, I go deep, I don't go wide. So I was
Right.
super obsessed with training. And then I got to high school, and then I saw that, oh, the more I do this, the better I do in football, the better I do in wrestling. I ended up going to college to play baseball. And meanwhile, like I was training like a bodybuilder the whole time, like not good for baseball at all. I was a pitcher, like there was no need to be like benching 405. But
Right.
yeah, like it was a pretty the working out part was really strong obsession. It wasn't until I moved to Chico, California, I transferred down there, and someone was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about competing?" And I was like, "What's that?" And they
Yeah.
gave me a DVD of it was the Iron Man. The New York Pro used to be called the Iron Man, and it was the
Right.
year that Lee Priest won.
Oh,
And so, I
got it.
mean, it
Yes,
was a
sir.
stacked lineup, but like I watched that I burned a hole through that damn thing, man. I watched it so many times. Like I memorized his routine. And then YouTube wasn't around yet, so I was like asking every buff person in the gym, like what do I need to do to train like a bodybuilder? And like I got some really bad advice. They're like, you don't eat carbs, you eat a lot of protein. And so I like went no carb. Like I did all the wrong things in the beginning. Thank
Hmm.
God they were like, hey, you take steroids right away. They didn't give me that advice because I would have probably done it. I would have probably done it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that was kind of my intro. But ironically, the first competition that I trained for didn't have a coach. I just did no carbs, and I was doing like, oh gosh, like freaking 3 hours of cardio a day. I was doing an hour and 45 or hour and 30 in the morning, hour and 30 at night,
Jeez,
and then
dude.
training. And I was taking 23 credits in college, and I was a full-time athletic trainer for the football team at Chico State. So I didn't sleep much. And I remember once,
Clearly.
yeah, I was like really emaciated. I was really skinny, really skinny. And I was one morning I was doing the fasted cardio on the stepper, and the owner of the gym walked up to me, and he was pretty jacked. Like he was like in his 40s, and he was like, I knew he had competed. And he's like, hey, bro, it looks like you need some help. And I was
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? I'm working my ass off. I don't need no help. I can handle this myself. But my ego was quiet. And I was like,
Right.
he's got a lot more muscle than you.
He's pretty
He's been
big.
around for a
So,
while. Maybe I should listen to him. He's like, hey, meet me in my office tomorrow, 7 a.m. I'll hook you up with a plan. So I go in there and he gives me like an actual diet and an actual workout routine. And I start, following it to a T because I'm obsessive. And shoot, like within a month, like I saw my abs for like the first time. And I,
mhm.
I felt like I was on drugs, but like in a good way. Like I thought so much energy. Mind you, this time I was studying to become a civil engineer. I was going to take over my dad's business.
Yeah.
And I'd always struggled with like body image and like not feeling confident in my own skin. I was kind of a wallflower. Girls didn't like me. Um, and after like that experience of like he didn't charge me. He just gave me a plan. It was like, follow this. And it made such an impact on me mentally, physically, and emotionally that I went into school and I changed my major to exercise physiology, which pissed my dad off to no end. Like
I'm sure.
he was like, we literally have this business that I'm grooming you to take over, and you're no longer going to be an engineer. Like, what are you doing? And I set my mind to okay, if I can make just one person feel the way that I felt by helping them, then I feel like my life has purpose. And it's kind of just been a snowball since then.
Awesome, man. That's so much information. I thought kind of cool something about how much of our journey is very similar, right? I started lifting weights at 10 years old. My brother actually for Christmas um, got a weightlifting set. It was his set. And he still to this day like takes credit for me becoming a bodybuilder. Like, I'm the one who started you lifting. Like,
He's
okay,
gonna be like,
cool.
on his Instagram handle, it's gonna be like Devon, the Mr. Olympia Devon, head, first coach.
Right? Something,
Now
took
accepting
some credit
coaching
for
queries
that.
now. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm the youngest of four siblings before my nephew that came along. But so I'm good at giving them credit. But I thought that was really funny. Like, and for me, it wasn't Dragon Ball, though I loved Dragon Ball growing up. It was literally like Hercules from Disney Channel and the Hulk. So it was like those are my favorite characters. They're
Wait,
gonna always be my favorite
which
characters.
Hulk though? Which Hulk? Was that
So
before Edward Norton, or was it like literally back in the Lou Ferrigno days?
so first of all, I did see Lou Ferrigno Hulk before I saw the cartoon after that before I saw the
Oh, okay.
movies. So for me, the reason that it resonated with me so much is because when I was younger, I had some anger issues, and I just felt like I get the Hulk out feeling. Like this is my guy. Me and you, we're right here, dude. Like, but the idea of, almost anger becoming strength and fortunately being able to kind of mold that later into being productive instead of destructive, but even on the realms of going up through college, I was going to school to study criminal law. Like, well, that obviously didn't go out on the head was planned. And I kind of switched everything up after my freshman year. And I took all of my friends that were willing to come with me from my dorms and was like, I'm going to the gym at 5 a.m. If y'all want to come, y'all can come. I'll show y'all what I'm doing. And everybody saw progress. And I was like, kind of got enough of this. Like, and that was kind of the origin of figuring some of those things out. But that's really awesome. I love to hear that story, man. And especially considering how much your dad played a role in that. And given that we're going to do a lot of conversation about manhood and brotherhood, uh, extrapolate out a little bit on how much of an impact your dad, being that guy who kind of took the lead, not just in fitness, but I'm sure in other areas, kind of molded you into the man that you've become, especially in the realms of, you mentioned, like wanting to help other people.
Ooh. So if I could sum it up, there's been two men in my life that have, without them, I would not be who I am. Number one is Jesus. Number
Mm,
two is my dad.
amen.
Like my
That's awesome.
dad, he is a great man. He is an awesome father. In my younger years, I am a lot like he is. He was the most driven, hardworking, intelligent human being I've ever met. Um, I've never heard the man complain one time. And he worked 100 hours a week. He would come home. He never missed a single freaking football game, wrestling tournament ever. He was always there. But he was also a really big hard ass. So like he did not accept less than my best. And he would always tell me, and I always felt when I was younger, I felt like it was unfair because he held me to a different standard than the rest of my siblings. I'm the oldest son. I have two younger siblings and an older half sister, and they if they passed their classes, that they were there, it was good. You know, no problems. Everything's fine at home. If I didn't get straight A's, my dad would be
Mm,
like, he would do it in such a way. He would like pull me aside and be like, "What happened here? Why did you get
mm,
95 instead of 100?" And he would say, you know, that if you just apply yourself, you can do anything you want to do. And I never heard him say that to any of the other children. In fact, there was this one distinct memory I have when I was probably in freshman in high school or eighth grader. So like right on that middle school, high school edge. And we had a baseball game and I batted for the cycle, meaning I hit a single, a double, a triple, and a home run in the same game. Like to this day, still the only time I've ever done that. And I was so freaking
wow.
excited.
Yeah.
However, I played third base and I made an error on the field. And when we got back in the car, and I had my buddies with me. We had a sleepover that night, which tells you how old we were. We didn't have a car. We're old enough to drive. My dad driving us home, and I'm like, Dad, did you see that? You see that triple that I hit? You hit that double? He's like, what happened on third base? And I
Mm,
was like, I was at the time, I was just like so deflated. So in the beginning of my life, it was much more like it put within me this pressure to perform and almost a fixation on perfection, which
hmm.
was not positive, but that was not his intent. It's all about the story that we create around the experience that we have as children. And since
Right.
then, I've learned and grown like that's not where the story ended. When
Right.
my friends went home, he went out with me to the field and we drilled that same exact thing over and over and over again. It never happened again. Like it was something that was unconsciously competent within me. I just did it in my sleep because not only did he care about me progressing, he cared enough to help me practice. So like if I was working on something, he would stay up with me until I got it right. And I don't think my his approval of me or his love of me was contingent upon that, but he had a standard for me. But I think he really what he saw was he saw something inside of me that he didn't want me to. I think laziness was what he didn't want me to fall. Complacency is he didn't want me to fall into that trap.
Right.
I would ask him like, especially as an adult, like what was the difference? Like why didn't you treat my little brother this way, or why didn't you treat my sister this way? And he's like, they're not you. He's like,
Right.
I held them to their own standard. And for my younger brother, if he got a B in class, that was really good. For you, if you got a B, I knew you phoned it in. He's like, because you like to this day, Alicia still gets mad at me, my wife, because she's like, I've never had to study for a test. I've always just been like, read it, and it just like stinks in my
Yep.
brain. I've got one of those eidetic memories. Like in education, I'm fairly. I don't want to sound cocky, but like it comes easy to me.
Yeah.
The physical side, not so much, but like the education side was very easy for me. And so I think he just saw that in me and he didn't want me to like, because a lot of people that are gifted are lazy and they rest
Right.
on their laurels. So I learned that from him. As he's got older, he's gotten a hell of a lot more. The emotional nurturing side of him
Right.
has also grown, and seeing him grow as a man, like see, it gives me that other side of the coin of like true masculinity. Like I knew tough, I knew hardworking, I knew driven and disciplined, like to the nth degree. But now I see that as well because that hasn't left him. But I see this ability to cry when
Mhm.
like for instance, my younger brother got diagnosed with cancer when I was gosh, I was like 28, 20, 27, 20 years old.
Mhm.
And I had to tell him. So what ended up happening, he had like a tumor in his throat. And I don't know why this happens. I have a master's degree, but everybody treats me like I'm the doctor. But in my family, so my brother sends me pictures like, what should I do? I'm like, you should go to the doctor is what you should do. And he had a cyst, and they told him like, oh, it's just a thyroidean cyst. There's 1 out of 3 people get some form of this in their life. So we'll get you and we'll check it out. And so they go in and they do a simple surgery to cut it out. Well, the surgery lasts like 8 hours. It's only supposed to be like a 45-minute to an hour long procedure. And we're like all sitting there, and the doctor's like, does any of you guys have like a medical background? I'm like, well, I mean, I have a master's degree in nutrition. I also, I have science background. He's like, hey, come back here. I want to show you something. It turns out he had stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So it already spread through all of his
Mhm.
lymph nodes, and it just like wrecked my dad. I'd never actually seen
Mhm.
that man cry in my entire life. And so I had to be the one when my brother woke up to like tell him, like, bro, they found something. Like your fight's not over. Like we've got to go to do another surgery, and then you've got like a good 12 weeks of radiation treatment and chemo and all this fun stuff that you have to do with cancer. And just like seeing that sensitivity in my dad, like that was the first example of it. But now it's like I just had a niece born in January this last year. Just like he's such a
That's
sap,
awesome.
but I love it. I love it. Like I love it because I'm like I know he'll literally kill someone if he needs to, but he's also like he cares so deeply, and that had always been there. I think it's just more like that side of him. He's given himself more permission for it to come out, and like life will do that to you sometimes.
Absolutely, man. And I'm sorry to hear about your brother. It sounds like it was a tough
He's
time for
cool.
you
He's
guys.
cool now. He's cool now.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He just doesn't
But
have a
like,
thyroid or any lymph nodes in his neck, and he's got this really cool scar that like is like an L on his throat.
there you go, got battle wounds. Let's go. But no, yeah, it sounds like your dad was a really wise guy because this is the thing, and I've learned this with just having little children right now, is they are so variably different. And you really do, from a very early age, have to kind of pick out their strengths and nurture those things. And especially for young boys, it's difficult because it's like, how do I cultivate the foundation of him first, right? It's really difficult to go, I want to teach you sensitivity before I teach you discipline. You can't really do that, especially not for a young man. It's like, let me take that, like, let me hone you into a weapon and then teach you the self-control and the calmness, right? We've heard that quote, like, better to be a warrior in the garden than a gardener in the war. Like,
Yeah,
you need
one
to
of
be
those works out
extremely,
really poorly. One of those works out really bad. But in full disclosure, I was a very soft, sensitive kid. Like
you're right there, Steve.
so, like he probably saw that in me too. Like prototypical mama's boy, like wanted to like. I mean, I was always working outside doing the outside boy stuff, but like I always had like a really sweet, sensitive heart. Like if that makes any sense. I wasn't a mean kid. I was super nice. And so he's probably like, this world's gonna chew this kid up. I better like put some
Right.
calluses on his hands and prepare him for the world, right?
Absolutely. So
And
I
he
think that's
also
what,
was he also was the first person to introduce me to the Bible too. So um like we went to church as a family, but like it's very I know lots of people. I friends with lots of people that go to church and never read the Bible. And one day I was in middle school. My dad was also my youth pastor. He taught Bible study
that's
for the
awesome.
youth group. He was like, "Son, we're going to read the Bible front to back, you and me." And so we woke up in the morning early, every morning before school, before work, before every day, and we went over a section of the Bible, and then we would discuss it. And so it was literally like chronologically, it's so painful as a middle schooler, by the way. Like
Yeah.
that was my first exposure to reading the Bible was from him too. So like he hit me on all fronts, man. He hit me on all fronts. I can't say enough good things about him. Literally, I can't.
Well, we're grateful for your dad, man. He did a great job with you. You're an awesome man. As far as I've gotten to know you, man, and I'm just getting to know you well, and I'm looking forward to us growing in a friendship here. But I have two ways I kind of want to go here because you said so much about your dad, and I don't know which one I want to do first because I think they're both going to be pretty lengthy. Uh, but how did that relationship with your dad translate into your bodybuilding as the sport and the career, but also, and maybe more importantly, or probably very much more importantly, how did that translate into how you coach your clients?
So it has more of an impact on how I coach my clients than my bodybuilding.
Right.
To this day, my dad supports what I do, but he doesn't have it. He doesn't understand it at all. He's. I remember the first. Oh, so I'll tell this quick story because this is actually really funny. My very first competition, I did like my first three shows natural, right? And it was my third one actually. It wasn't my first one. It was my third one. I like busted my ass all year long. I never missed a meal. I was doing 2-a-day workouts, straight up Milo Sarsha style. Like never missed a day. Like I was like 7 days a week in the gym. I devoted my life to this. And I get to the competition. I think I ended up placing like seventh. It was not a good look, but it was the NPC. It was I think it was called the Nevada State Championship. So it was in Reno, and I was so like just pissed off after prejudging. And I was like, the guy who won, I'm like, I came down, I was like talking shit. I was like, that fucking guy that won first place, like he probably pulled his needle out of his ass literally right before he went on stage, and my dad like stopped me. He's like, do you think maybe it's because he's been doing this for 15 years longer than you?
Right.
He's like,
Like,
and he doesn't know anything about bodybuilding. He doesn't know anything about bodybuilding. He was like, his theory was like, the guy with the best tan wins. Like that literally was, I got it, son. Just get darker and you'll win. Which sucks for an Irish boy, right? Like,
right.
so, but no, he stopped me. He's like, you don't think it has anything to do with the fact that he's been training for 15 years longer than you, and like maybe that's why he beat you. It isn't because he used steroids. I'm like, like I can't even argue with that because even with the advent of steroids, he also has been training for 15 years long, and it wasn't even close. Like it was like a boy
Right.
and a man. I think I was like 19 years old, 20 years old. Like when I went to the
Yeah.
show, and he was like 40. Like he'd been doing it for a lot longer than me. Yeah, he looked like he did it. I looked like I was just getting into it. Yeah.
Right. But okay, cool. Well, that's awesome with the bodybuilding part. It's funny, like obviously your dad was probably a little conflicted about that with the career change and everything too, that you made.
Yeah,
But
he wasn't too pleased with that decision at all. In the beginning.
but
In the beginning.
well, right, because I think it translated obviously to you now having your coaching business. And I kind of want to talk to you a little bit about that because right now I understand that you have the Fit Couple coaching company that you run with your wife,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. How did that come about? Right?
It's been a long iteration. So when I made the switch over to exercise physiology, oh, I didn't finish that story. The
Yeah.
so that owner of the gym, his name is JP, by the way. And Chico owns a place called the Body Shop. So if he's listening, thank you. I go into school next semester. Guess who's the head of the exercise physiology department? Him.
JP?
Yeah, him. So it was like, oh, thank you, God. Like I'm dense, but like you showed me a pretty good sign. So regardless, fast forward, I get my degree. I finish all the stuff, and I decided to actually. So I got introduced to personal training first, and
Right.
at this time I was attending a men's. They called it a community group. So like think of a small group. I was part of a church in Reno called Living Stones, which is still a very active church today. Still, in my heart, it's still my home church. I was there for over 10 years, but I was part of a men's group in Living Stones, and the guy who ran the men's group was a personal trainer, had a pretty good business, like personal training business, and he knew I was going through school, so I was still going through school at this time. He pulled me aside after one of our men's group. I've been going for a while, and he's like, "Hey, the church just offered me a full-time job as a pastor. I'm gonna plant this other church because Reno, and then there's like a sister city called Sparks. So like he's like, they put me in charge of planting a church in Sparks. He's like, so I'm gonna take that position, but I know this is what you're doing. How would you like to, take over my business? And I was like, what? like normally when you first start personal training, your first struggle is like, how do I get clients? So he's
Right.
like, let me introduce you to the owner of the facility. And it was a place called Sierra Strength and Speed. It was an athletic training facility that was like, you rented space out of the building and you brought your clients in, but it was mostly athletics. So it was like, strength conditioning. And at that time, I was still working on becoming a CSCS, which it took me a while to get that, but like I started training like professional athletes, Olympic athletes, like as I was finishing my bachelor's degree in exercise phys. So
Mm.
he brings me in, and the owner's like a little bit like kind of standoffish. And there's like 4 or 5 other trainers. They're all like really high caliber. So like one of them ended up becoming the head strength coach for the New York Knicks. There's another one that became, I think he still is, the head strength coordinator for all of the Oakland Athletics, like the baseball. There was a guy who was like the lead dietitian for the entire state of Nevada, and the owner who was a retired athletic trainer for the San Francisco 49ers. So like they were like high level. Like I didn't come in like on NASM or like these lower level certifications. Like
Right.
I was getting thrown to the wolves like right off the bat. So they were very like, old boys club, like you have to earn your spot here. So like here, we'll make you a deal. You intern with us for 6 months, and then we'll vote and we'll decide whether or not you're a good fit. So I interned there for 6 months, free of charge. I was there every waking hour that I could be, at least 40 hours a week, if not more. If anybody was running late, I would take over and like help them like warm up their clients or stretch their clients or whatever. And the
Right.
other times I'm there just like, doing anything. I'm getting coffee, I'm cleaning the freaking place. I'm shadowing them on all their sessions and they're teaching me the whole time. So like it wasn't just like they actually wanted to bring me up to speed.
Right.
And at the end, I remember I had to sit outside their office while they had a meeting and they voted on whether or not I could stay. And I was like, I was so freaking nervous this whole
I
time.
bet.
Like, are they going to vote me in, or did I just waste 6 months of my life? They voted me in, but I inherited a a roster of like 20 clients from Kyle is his name. Kyle was the pastor, and so like literally God led me to the personal training facility,
Right.
and
Lined you up
so
just right.
yes, like and all in the right time, right? So like I was just finishing college before I went back for more school. And during that time frame, I think it was probably I was there for like 3 years. I built that business up to before I left, I had over 300 clients that I was training. So much so, this is where my dad comes in. I was paying a boatload of money for rent because it was a percentage based split. So like for every
Uh,
for every dollar you made, you at that place, and it's not a bad split for most trainers. It was 35%. So like if you made a dollar, you had to pay 35 cents out. So like for at the peak, I was paying almost, gosh, it was almost like $6,000-7,000 in rent every single month.
mm,
And my dad was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "You
right.
could you could rent your own place for that." He's like, "Then you don't have to like you can build it the way you want. You can hire a team. You can scale. Like you can hire someone in the front desk. You can have other coaches work underneath you. You can be the owner." He's like, "You're already doing it." And kind of the little I don't want to say sneaky way that I grew that business was this was at the beginning of Facebook. Like I learned about Facebook marketing and running ads like at a very, I guess, very, when it was super easy, when you didn't have to be good at it. And I would run these
Right.
ads where I'd have like 21 days for $21 and I did group training. And then I had my personal training clients who it was more like word of mouth and like they would tell other people about them. So I had maybe, 30 or 40 personal training clients, but then I would get these like groups of like 30 or 40 people coming in multiple times a day. And I was like, this is a great way I can sell fitness and like get people involved and they don't have to pay. Because at the time, and it's definitely went up since then, it was like $65 a session for personal training, right? So if you're doing that,
Right.
3 times a week, you're looking at like a couple $100 a week. And most your average mom and pops can't afford that. So they wouldn't be able to do personal training. So I'm like, well, what if I do, group training? And then it just grew out like I needed to get my own space. Cause like when we would come in,
Yeah.
like even the owner would be like, dude, you take over the whole damn gym. And I would try to be respectful, but like it was a
What
3,500
are you
square
gonna
foot
do with that
facility.
many
Where are you gonna
people?
go?
Yeah.
Like we had the whole turf area just like occupied the whole time. It was straight up like CrossFit and boot camp before that was like even a thing. And so then I opened up my own gym. Finally, I spent a lot of money opening that gym. It's called Be Strong Fitness, which I got it from the Bible is Joshua, right? Joshua 1:9. Be strong in the Lord. That was our moniker of the gym, and we were operational for, gosh, like 6, 7 years. And we had a very thriving business. I had 7 trainers that worked underneath me. I did have another dietitian that worked underneath me. I had a sales guy. I had an ops manager. Like I had a whole team that worked for me. It was a thriving community. Like people loved it. And then COVID happened. And if you know anything about Nevada, Nevada was shut down for like 2 years. And it
Oh, I
bled
didn't
me.
know
It
that.
bled me literally dry, bro. Like it bled me dry. So I went from being like this, and this was God in His grace, honestly. Because at that moment, I thought I was pretty hot shit. Like I thought I was like,
Yeah, I bet.
I'm a boss. Like I look at what I built, look at what I've done. You know, I did invest roughly, gosh, almost $750,000 into that place, like over the
Right.
years, like all brand new equipment, new turf, new flooring. Like it was a really nice facility. And I don't want to say I had like, no, I did. I had an ego. I had a little bit of an ego. Like, and systematically, that was taken from me. Just kicked me in the stomach and the nuts, whatever you want to say. And I had to figure out another way. So I actually shut down Be Strong. Because during that time frame, there was a moratorium on rents for personal, but not for businesses. So my rent there, I had to make like 13K a month just to cover like bills. And that was
Right.
before I even turned any kind of profit. That was not even including freaking like payroll. That was just
Right.
rent, utilities, like all the crap that you have to pay every single month. And I was just watching my bank account just like disappear every single month. And finally, when I was like, dude, I only have like 2 months left, and I will literally have to like file bankruptcy or whatever. So I got on Facebook Marketplace. I sold all of my equipment at a massive loss, which sucked because if I would have waited like another month, I could have probably
Yeah.
tripled my money because everybody was hurting for equipment. They would have bought it off me, no problem. But I just wanted to get out of there, and I was like, this is. And at the time, I actually right before that, I just got divorced too. Like, so I just got
Oh,
divorced. Then I got the COVID thing happened. And then, so I literally just packed up everything that I owned in my Toyota Tacoma. And I had the smallest U-Haul trailer that you could get. And I remember literally the night before, I didn't have enough money to rent the U-Haul. And
no.
do you remember the stimulus check that we were promised?
Yep.
It came through the morning and showed up at the U-Haul place.
Look at God.
Because my dad was like, I'll help you. I'll help you
Ooh.
with you all. I'm like, I didn't want my pride was like, I don't want to take any money. You've done so much already. And it showed up literally that morning. Spent almost my last because it was expensive as hell to get a U-Haul back then. It was like for that little
Hmm.
thing, I think it was like all of that $1,200. Like I
Probably
between
so.
that and gas, like I showed up with almost nothing. And literally moved back in with my parents in Big Sky. And that was when I was like, okay, I have to find another way. So for that season, I worked construction. I swung hammers and poured concrete and all that fun stuff. And then this was like what I would call the valley when I went through the valley
Hmm.
of my life. So the next thing that because I wasn't broken yet. I wasn't broken yet. I still had that get up and go. And
Yeah.
around July of that summer, I got sick. And like I was all of a sudden I just started vomiting like crazy, like 30, 40 times a day, and excruciatingly painful. I went and got all these scans and tests, and it just kept going. Like I lost like 40-ish pounds in the
Ooh.
course of like a month. It was crazy. And nobody gave me an answer like what's going on. Like I start and the kicker for me was when I knew something was really wrong. And I remember my dad was at one of my brother's friends' weddings, and I was at the house alone, and I started coughing, and all of a sudden, all this blood started coming up, and I was coughing in the sink, and it was like an obscene amount of blood. So like I plugged the sink because I was like, I need to keep track of how much I'm bleeding here. I filled the sink up with blood. So of
Oh.
course, being me, I Google it. Like, what happens when you cough this much blood? And they're like, you have a 95% chance of mortality if you cough up more than a cup of blood. And I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna die. Like I'm gonna die. So I call my dad and he's like, go to the ER right now. So I go spend the night in the ER. They scan my lungs. They apparently have like several vessels or whatnot burst inside my lungs, but still no answer. They're like, we've tested you for tuberculosis. We've tested you for all of these things. Still, we can't find any answers. We don't know what's going on. Why you're throwing up all the time. Why you have massive, TMI, but massive diarrhea. Like nothing staying inside of
Hmm.
you. And so we recommend you. you fast for one to let everything calm down, and then we're going to set you up with a gastroenterologist. And they made me take. It was like a very expensive test because I remember having to sign a paper saying you're going to pay for this. It was a pill can, so like you swallow this $10,000 pill, and you wore this thing around your chest, and it videotapes or films like all the way down your whole digestive system, and it Bluetooth it to the package, and then you turn the package back in so they can go over the footage. Well, the doctor calls me. He's like, "Hey, like you've got severe tearing in your small intestines. Like you're literally falling apart. Like it's ripped apart. I'm surprised you're not septic. Like and that's why I was so sick. I had fevers. I felt like ass, like terrible. He's like, we need to get you in. We got a couple other tests because there's only a few reasons why this happens. And I was told that I had this rare form of cancer within my small intestines that had something crazy, like a 90% chance of death. And then out of the 10% people, 10% of people that make it through, all of them die within 3 years afterwards. Like it was a very rare form. So I'll be completely transparent. Like I was wrecked, and I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell anybody. I went home, and this is hard to say, but like I took an entire bottle of sleeping pills, and I was like, deuces, I'm out. And I laid there on the floor for like 3 days, and no one came in to check on me. It was, a really hard time. No one came in to check on me. And finally, when I peeled myself off the ground, I looked up because I knew what I just done. And so I found a suicide hotline and I called it. And the sweetest woman like picked up, and she got me in touch with a therapist. And that therapist just so happened to be like works for a church, and she worked for a place called Grace Church in Bozeman, Montana. And I had driven by it 100 times because it was right next to the college I went to, and I never went inside. And so I started seeing it was still COVID, like 3 days a week. I was going to therapy, and the whole time I was not telling anybody where I was going. I would say doctor's appointments. I would say because I didn't know how I felt about therapy yet. All I
Right.
know is that I needed somebody that knew what the fuck was going on and somebody to help me. And so that started the process of like healing from, well, basically how it, like I had lost so much and I hadn't really dealt with any of that trauma, like from,
Right.
you know, divorce to the business to my identity, which is actually the thing that was challenged the absolute most. So like I was in therapy 3 times a week for like 6 months, and then I went down to one time a week, and then eventually it was like once every month. And I learned so much during that time and I healed so much. And when I came out of that, that was like, hey, I'm gonna start like helping people again because when I'm helping people, I feel like I have purpose. So that's when I started the online thing, but I had no freaking clue how to do it. Like I had no
Right.
idea. Like so, I just started like you know messaging people like that I used to work with, and some of them bid on it, and some of them wanted some help still. And I'm like, help you with your diet, help you with your training, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I'm like, we'll do in person workouts. Like we'll be on Zoom or at the time I think yeah, it was Zoom. It was Zoom. It just came out. It was like Zoom or Skype. We could do video call, FaceTime. Like we'll do the workouts, and I was trying to do what I could do because all I knew was personal training, like in person training, and so then like that started to get a little bit of traction, but meanwhile, I had to like get a job because I didn't have enough money to like pay the rent. So I made my mind up that I needed to get out of my comfort zone in from Montana. And that's when I decided to move to Vegas on a lark.
Okay, so I want to pause you for just 1 second
Yeah, I know we're going
because
a lot different direction, right?
no, you're okay. But I really want to take a second. Like, guys, that story, Tim, is so inspiring, man. Like, the thing that I love to see the most is that one, right? Like, you got to this rock bottom place. One, that God's grace is sufficient, that He kept you in that time, but that your heart was still in the place of, once you came out of that, I want goodness. I want to share goodness with people. Do you think that going through all those experiences kind of is back to back to back? You said valley. I'm thinking like wilderness season. I'm going back like, like Old Testament on that. Like, do you think that made you this more like, because you already mentioned when you were younger, you were a soft-hearted person. Do you think maybe that even carried you into that place of being able to stay positive? Like, what part of you do you think was cultivated through that hardship that was like, hell, I needed help, I needed positivity, I want to share that with other people? But like, what do you think that came from?
I have no other word other than grace. So to be honest, like during that season when I was before the valley, when I was on the mountaintop, this is before we started recording when I told you about the terrible relationship that I had, the girl that wrecked me when I was like
Yeah.
in like just out of high school. I remember feeling like heartbroken and making a promise to myself. And in therapy they call this the source fracture, by the way. I made a
Mm,
promise to myself that nobody would ever make me feel that way ever again. So whenever I would feel those emotions come up, like any kind of sensitive, soft emotions, I would visualize a hand pushing those down, ironically, to my freaking stomach intestine area, right? Like, and I vividly remember like feeling that, nope, push it down. And I created this calloused me, this man that didn't feel pain. That, to be honest, I got divorced. I did not cry. I did not at the moment. I did not cry. I cried lots of tears later, but in the
right.
moment, stone cold, stone cold. And it probably was like, I'm trying to think of from the other person's point of view, like how weird that would be to like have no emotion to that at all. Um, and I felt just cold. I felt numb. But I was tough and I put up that exterior wall. And so when I say that it was through God's grace, it's that he loves us so much that he'll let us go through those hard things
Mhm.
because that's not the man that he created me to be. He didn't create me to be
Exactly.
like a callous human being. He created me to be a man, which is part strong, part tender. And like I honestly don't think that person would have had a reason to come back if I hadn't had been stripped away of all of my armor, like forcibly
Yeah.
stripped away. So like I remember a distinct moment in the valley where I was at home and I went to the bathroom. I was like looking at myself in the mirror and I was like talking to myself, like literally talking to myself. Like, I don't, it sounds crazy, but like I was having a conversation with myself. I was like, Tim, you're at a crossroads right now. You can let this either make you bitter and angry, or you can continue to care. And
Mhm.
I was like, I refuse to let this experience turn me into a bitter, resentful human because my family deserves more than that. My future wife and kids deserve more than that. My clients deserve more than that. And so like you deserve more than that. So I had that conversation and that was like the pivot point of like God really showing like, son, this is not a curse. It hurts, but it's a blessing. Like it's a serious blessing.
And I want to take a second and go just some scriptural reference. The scripture says that God will take what Satan means for our bad and make it for our good. That's how powerful of a God we serve, right? And that He was preparing you for such a time as this to be able to have the heart that you do. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that because we haven't quite made it there yet, but about like why you coach the way you do, because we talked about that a little off camera as well. But Him bringing forth that part of you, right? Being a grace. I want the men to take a second and acknowledge something here. Him having a sense of purpose in who he was supposed to be as a man. I'm going to continue to be the loving, giving person that I am for my family, for my future wife and children, for myself, and for anybody else I may impact in this world. Like that sense of purpose was is what part of what allowed him to be able to pull himself together and to move forward because he had something to aim at. So once God deconstructed everything and was like, let's get you back to who I made you to be. Let's get you back to the core person that I anointed to be this person that you are. Like, don't forget that I still have a plan for you, and I'm faithful to see it through. Right. And I think your ability to acknowledge that, we can go all the way back to the fact that one, your dad had you in the Bible nonstop, that God had been a part of your life for so long, which we don't give a lot of kudos to dad over and over again because he did his job well there. But that you had that ability to go into that, men find purpose and find purpose outside of yourself, something greater than you independently. you'd be surprised how powerful that is for men who are called to greater than that. And that's just my take on what part of what I got from what you just told the story. That resonated with me.
I'll add to that. I think every man has that. I think every human has that. Like we've been gifted with a unique set of skills, like not to quote Liam Neeson from Taken, but like a unique set of skills. Like there's a gifting in you, Devon, that is unique to you that only you can do. And and when you tap into that, or when you basically listen to what God is calling you to do, like you're a force to be reckoned with. And imagine if you had an army of men that were all
Mm,
doing what God had like called them to do. Like I imagine heaven. That's what I imagine. Literally,
mhm.
that to me is what like heaven is. Nobody's acting against God's will. They're all doing what they're called to. And
Everybody's
there's
in
a certain
unison.
sense
Yeah.
of we're on earth, right? So like everything's not perfect. It's hard still. Like we still have hardships and struggles, and like I'm dealing with a freaking injury right now, which we all have troubles, but like there's a harmonious like ease when you're doing what you're called to do, and like the effort doesn't seem as strenuous. It doesn't feel like you're swimming upstream. It feels like you're swimming, but it feels like you're going the direction that you should be going.
Yes.
And sometimes we have no clue what the outcome is, but you can be like, I don't know what the outcome is, but I know it's the right way. I know it's the right direction. Like if I think of like Moses in the desert, right? How long did those suckers wander? Like 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Golly.
like, but every day manna showed up from heaven, like,
Hmm.
and they still complain, they still whined, and I'm sure there was times like this Moses dude's lost, bro. Like, we've been walking in circles. This area of the world's not that big. We just keep doing the same. I've seen that bush. That bush was there yesterday. Like, what's going on, Moses? But they knew that God called them out of slavery and out of Egypt. So like their faith that that God was taking them in the right direction was strong enough for them to keep going. So, that's obviously a massive oversimplification of that story, but I think the parallel there is pretty you not pretty symbolic to all of our lives.
Absolutely. So I want to pull us back in because now we're in this place right now. We're talking about how you came onto the online coaching. You mentioned how you got into that. So let's talk about that up into Alicia becoming part of the picture. And then I want to pause there and I want to dig into that a bit. So let's walk us up to that door and then let's kind of go from there.
That parallel story, it will blow your mind. What was happening to me simultaneously was happening at the same exact time to her. So it's like only God could orchestrate this kind of stuff. So I moved to Vegas on a whim. Not on a whim. I wanted to go to Vegas because I had seen all the gyms open up in Vegas, and I still want to become a pro bodybuilder. So I'm like, there's a lot of people down there, and I had competed in junior nationals in 2021, and I took fourth. And Flex Lewis was there with he's I don't know if he's a part owner or he's with Arsenal Strength in some capacity. I think he's an investor or a part owner of some sort, but they were the title sponsor of the show. And
Right.
so in the morning, I showed up and I had to kill myself to get in shape for that show because that was the year after I had the surgery. I got super fat. I got up to like
Mm,
270 and I had like the hardest prep I've ever had in my life. I had to do crazy low calories and crazy cardio, crazy fat burners, all kinds of stuff just to make it to stage. I came to stage very depleted and flat. And Flex pulled me aside, and I'd never met him before. He's a super awesome guy, by the way. He was like, "Hey," he's like, "You came in a little flat." He's like, if you would have, been a little fuller, you probably would have done a little better." And then the night show, my coach at the time, Matt Berzicott, I don't know if you know who he is, but he was
mm,
coaching me at the time. He used to work with Matt Jansen. They were like he was one of the
okay.
coaches there, but he's taken like top four at nationals. He's a super heavyweight bodybuilder. He's retired now, but like awesome dude. I've known him for a long time. Um, like he's like go two burgers, two orders of fries, get yourself a Diet Coke, go take a nap. And I came back for the night show, and Flex like, I told you. He's like, if you would have came in that way, and I'm like, oh, it's because I was heavily. He's like, I'll tell you what, I'm opening the Dragon's Lair in Vegas, and this was like right before they opened.
Oh,
He's like, you come down, we'll help you out. And so I was like, I didn't know what that meant. Like, what does help me out mean? So I was like, I'm moving to Vegas. my sister lives in Vegas, so I moved down. I crashed on her couch for like a month until I got my own place. And I trained at the Dragon's Lair and was around a bunch of pros, and Flex was one of them. And at that time, Dom Cardone was down there.
Uh-huh.
Who else was there? Like, there's a few that are very, very consistent. Milos was there every day. Another guy that was there, I'm trying to think what his name is. He's the French guy he was men's physique and he's classic, and now he's a pro. He hasn't competed this year. Stan Delonge. They call him Stanimal.
Oh yeah, Static
Yeah, yeah.
got you.
So
Yeah, yeah,
Stan's there all the time. This was right after Flex Roden had passed away, or Sean Roden had passed away. Um,
yeah.
so it's just like a super environment of a lot of like really high caliber pros. And it opened my eyes to like, because in Montana, there's no pros. Like, if I turn pro, I will be the first one from Montana. There's no pros from
Right.
Montana. And there's a lot of strength sports up there, like powerlifting and strongman, but not bodybuilding. So I was like, I need to be around people that are much better than me, so I can elevate my game. And so I was down there for a little bit. I needed to get a job. So I ended up working at this really bougie country club. It's more of a intentional community for billionaires and like the wealthy elite. And so I did personal training there, and like it was a great gig. I got to meet a lot of people. I worked with a lot of high profile like celebrities and athletes, and like very in their homes, nicest gyms you could imagine. But you're like, basically, it's not the training like you and I grew up on. It's more like certain ones of them love to train hard. Like there was a few of those guys that train harder than anybody you could imagine, but most of it is like, hey man, let me like get you a cold water with some like specific type of cucumber in it, and like you had to dress in like a polo and slacks, and couldn't have no facial hair. Like I couldn't show my tattoos, so I had to like be covered up all the time in Vegas. But it was really good
Uh,
environment, because like I got to be around business people, and I got to be around people that were hustling on different fronts of life, and also it paid the bills. So meanwhile, I'm still
right.
learning how to build an online program. So I was down there for 2-ish years, and then literally about 10 weeks away from my last competition, my dad has a stroke. And so I pack everything up and I leave middle of the night to go home, break my lease, all the things, like just I can't not be there. And so and meanwhile they just were selling their home and they were moving, and my dad's a do it himself kind of guy, and I know his ass is gonna like still like try to lift the refrigerator after just having a stroke. And so I'm like, I gotta get up there. Me and my brother are gonna take care of everything. We're gonna move all this stuff. So I literally, again, like how I moved down there, I moved back like on a lark, not on a lark, but like in a like no thought put into it all. So like, pack your shit, let's go. I left so much stuff down in Vegas that I had accumulated and owned, like furniture or whatever, and went back home. And then I still ended up doing that show. I did really well. I won the show. It was back in Vegas. It was going to be a local show, but it ended up being like a 12-hour drive or a 6-hour plane flight to get home,
Right.
to get back to the show. But I still made it through. It was a very hard prep. Prepping in the midst of all that was very challenging, but I did really well. I won that show, and so that would have been December of 2022. No, 23,
Okay.
23, 23. Yeah, so it was the NBC Royal Classic. It was the one that they have in Vegas. The high roller Royale is what it was called. Um,
Okay.
which it did give me a bid for nationals, which was like next week. But I was like, I talked to Flex backstage. He was like, honestly, he's like, because I didn't win the overall. I won the class, but I didn't win the overall. He's like, the guy that won the overall, he's going to nationals next week. So like, you can do it, but like, he beat you here, he's probably going to beat you there. And like, really, like, if I'm being honest with you, you still need to put on more size, because I think it was like 215, and
All
he
right.
was he was a super heavyweight. He was like all of 275. Like, he was a big boy,
Big
and
guy.
he's like,
Yeah.
you don't need to be that big, but you need to put on another 15-20 pounds before you are at that level. And so I was like, cool, I'll wrap it up. Let's go. And so I went back home, and around this time, like I was like, okay, maybe I should start get back into the dating game just a little bit, like, because when you're in prep, like, you don't think like that. You're like, I got too much stuff on my plate. I'm not thinking about girls. I'm not thinking about anything.
For
So
real.
I find this thing called Facebook dating.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
I was like, well, I'm going to be very, very polarizing in my bio. So I don't even remember what I don't even remember what I put out, but it was something that did not get a lot of hits. Let's just say that. But I used a picture of me because I worked out at a gym called Prime in Montana, and I was real jacked in this photo. It was a photo of me doing dips, and Alicia commented on the photo, and she was like, she didn't make a comment about me though. She made a comment about I love the equipment that they have at that gym. And I was like, she knows equipment. I want to talk to this girl. So we started talking, and she had a very strict. We connected on like a Saturday, and I remember because I was out visiting my parents at their home, and it must have been it was Super Bowl Sunday. So I went out on Saturday. It was Super Bowl Sunday, and so we're messaging back and forth. She's like, "Oh, by the way, I don't use my phone or do any social media on Sunday. I'll talk to you on Monday." So I was like, and she was serious. Like she didn't she didn't know right on Sunday, and so we ended up like syncing up for a coffee like the next week. And she told me this later, but after we met, she called one of her best friends was like, I think I just met the man that I'm gonna marry. And so we didn't date that long, bro. We didn't date that long. Like we dated, that would have been February, right before Valentine's Day. She was literally, it was right before Valentine's Day. Or right after Valentine's Day, after Valentine's Day.
After, okay.
We weren't Valentine's. And
Mhm.
I proposed she's younger, in June. In June. I proposed in June. And
Thanks for the help.
and then we got married in October. So it was like it was a very quick but we were like my friends, they talked to me and I was like, like how can you be so sure? I'm like, I just am. Like there's nothing I'm more sure of. Like I have no bad feels. I have all green lights. And I was like, I brought her over to meet my parents like a few months in. It might have been like 6 weeks in, it wasn't even a few months. And like when she went to the bathroom, I was like, "What do you guys think about her?" Like I was like, "Give me some dirt. Like give me some dirt. Like tell me if I'm being stupid here." And they're like, "We love her. We absolutely love her." And they would never talk bad about girls that I dated before, but they never gave me like a
Okay, good,
pass. They
like
were not like
affirmative,
they were not we
right?
love her. They're like, "She's okay. Like she's got a pretty smile." Like no, they're like, "We love her."
She's
And even my
precious. Yeah, that's
even
what we
my
do in the South.
nieces, even my nieces loved her. My nephews loved her. Like you just tell like that she was just like one of the family. So it's crazy how life spins like that. But she was doing her own coaching thing. I was doing my coaching thing. When we got married, and we had talked about this, we're like, we're gonna join forces and make this our company, not my company, your company. Because a lot of couples do that. They'll like, I do my coaching, you do your coaching, and they can be competitive in a means. And so we came up with fit couple coaching because it is we're a fit couple. She's
Fit
also
couple.
incredibly fit. And most of the time we meet people and they're like, when is she competing? And I'm like, she's not. She just looks that way. That she trains hard and eats healthy all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where we got that from. And so yeah, it's been kind of a very uphill trajectory since then.
Okay, yeah, I love all that, man. Since I met you guys, I liked you guys from day one. I came to the gym here at the Muscle Factor, man. I was like, I like these people, something about them. I really enjoy their conversation. But similar to you asking a little bit more about like, fatherhood and managing that and balancing that, I did have a question for you. Where do you feel like would be like a determining factor in knowing that she's the one? 'Cause I know you mentioned like, oh well, everything seemed to be smooth, but like if another young man was watching the fight, or old man, I don't care how old they are, we're just like, look, I'm out here, I want to find my wife.
Yeah.
I'm having a struggle in modern culture. What's the thing that you think they need to know?
So we talked about this off camera, but I think it's kind of very important for men to hear this. Like we got along great. Like we had a lot of the same interests. I really like her southern accent. She's from Mississippi. She's obviously hot. But the main thing that I think really stood out was her character. And when we first started going out, like boyfriend girlfriend, we had a conversation about sex and how we weren't going to do that, and how important that is in a man's ability to make a good decision about the person. because when we engage in that activity, it is hard to separate the two. Like it's hard, like you get wrapped up in and I know you are, like most men have made this mistake and they make piss poor decisions because and I don't want to say they're thinking with their penis. It's just really hard because you get emotionally attached because that's how God designed us to be. And
Yeah.
so like when we had that conversation, which was very, very early on in our relationship, I want to think like before we went out on our first date, we had this conversation. And it was like such a sigh because I had made my decision up before I met her. She had made her decision up years before she made me or met me. And so like we both like leveled with each other, like, hey, we're not doing this. Thank God, because I've went on dates with girls where I'm like, hey, I don't do that, and they pieced out, and she had done the same thing, or they try to change your mind. You know, they're like, yeah, we'll see how long you last, buddy.
Right. I
And no, she
manipulate
was
that.
serious, and like, so we did not at all the whole time, and so like that showed me so much about her character, but then also her resolve, and then also just the way that like I don't know if you've ever like been in a relationship with somebody that you never have to like look over their shoulder. Like you never have to like worry about who you texting. Like when you go out with friends, are you really going out with friends? Or like why did you come home late? Like I've never once had a single reason to even question any of her actions. Like and that starts from like I literally think it starts from that same conversation.
Hmm.
Like not having sex like is such a huge blessing. It's not a God's not trying to rob your joy or get your jollies off. Like he's trying to protect you and also give you joy that you didn't know that you could have if you just waited and you just because now that area was able to develop. I could make a clear decision like she is a woman that will be a good wife. She is a woman that will be a good mother. She's a woman that will be a good friend, right? And like those are huge things outside of is she hot or like does
Right.
she, and there's two criteria most men look for: is she hot and does she like me? Like if those two line up, it's like she's the one. But like no,
Right.
that is such a short term thing. Like she needs to be your best friend. She needs to be, I mean, ultimately to become one. So like I think that was all made super clear from the beginning, and it just kept growing and growing and growing until, well, it's still growing. Like we've been together for like a year and a half at this point, and um, like I can't even remember or imagine a day that I wasn't her husband and she wasn't my wife.
Right. And I want to take that because that segue right into my next question, which is, what do you feel like you've grown the most in your marriage? Like specifically from the marriage?
So I've learned so much, and this is kind of like two parts. One
Okay.
is I think, and I'm just so maybe I'll ask you this question, but I think we don't know how selfish we are until we're married. And then
Hmm.
I want to say there's a second point when you don't know how selfish you are until you have kids. And so like specifically in the context of, so we both did a pretty gnarly cut before our wedding. Like we got really,
Hmm.
really spicy lean.
Real fit. Let's get it.
And normally when you get, you're in diet mode and you're single, you could be in a bad mood. You don't have to talk to nobody. You could do what you want to do. I get a little bit, and it's way, way better this year, but like, I didn't realize how antisocial I would get when I am hungry and tired. And
Yeah.
like, I was confronted with like how, like a lot of like flaws that I presented. Specifically, I would call them selfish flaws in that like when I would be tired and I just wanted to get up and do cardio, I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to go on my walk, eat my food in quiet in silence. And so like I learned a lot about myself and I wouldn't have known that about myself if I wasn't if I was with my family, I wouldn't know it either because I wouldn't like have been confronted with it. Like I would have just be like, I'm gonna go to my room, whatever. Like,
Right.
but when you're living with someone and you're married to someone, like she'll tell you, like, or worse, you'll see that you hurt her feelings, or like,
Yeah.
like, oh man, I came off like an asshole there, didn't I? I
Hmm.
was a little short, and so like it allowed me to see that number one, which gave me the opportunity to work on that, but then it also illuminated a lot of things that I didn't even know were present in my life, like anxiety. Like I didn't know I was an anxious person. And then now I'm like paying attention, like, oh, And I'll
Right.
tell her like, "Hey, babe, I'm feeling a little bit anxious right now." She's like, "Cool, go on a walk, do your thing." Because like it's very simple to solve anxiety when you have like when you're like me, just go on a walk, like get outside, go get some air, go move, go get away from the noises, and you'll be fine. But if I wasn't paying attention, I would just act agitated if I was anxious. But I
Right.
wouldn't even be. I was never really confronted with that. So like certain things like that for sure. The other side of it is forward thinking in the context of it's not just about you. It's like my life decisions no longer have um like it's not an n equals one anymore. Like it's n equals two. So if I make a decision that is negative or has a negative impact on our future, it hurts her. Like it's gonna affect her. So I have to be a lot more calculated in what I decide
Hmm.
to do. And that even goes in with bodybuilding, bro. Like that's like the the stuff I decide to use, the shows
Yep.
that I decide to do. Do I continue to compete? Like, is there is there a secondary conversation around fertility, or is there a secondary conversation around time allocation around like
Right.
building a business, building a house, and then still competing? Like I have to be a little bit more strategic on how I approach these things, and I'm not making decisions unilaterally anymore. Like when I decide something, I didn't decide it. I decided I wanted to talk to her about it. And then now we
Right.
make the decision like this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm led to do or led to say. And she's super supportive, but like she can be my spotter. And it's a
Right.
super like bro thing to say about his wife, but like
Right.
soulmate spotter, like she sees my blind spots. So I can rely on her to be that person because she will, if I ask her, she'll give me objective like feedback on what I'm missing or what I'm not thinking about.
Okay, yeah. I kind of want to touch on what you're mentioning too, because you kind of brought up the thing about kids and how that can expose things to you. But what I feel like from what you're saying is that from my experience with raising children versus having a wife, the there's still a uniqueness to the marriage component because with kids, it's very easy to put a dependent's needs first because you don't have a choice. They need it. So the process of there being a dialogue and the choice to put your wife's needs maybe ahead of your own even, or just to consider her in every step of the process is more of a I desire to do this for you. Whereas in my opinion, when it comes to having kids, it's like fundamentally when they're first born and they're like newborn baby, you have to do everything for them. It's not
Literally
really
have to. They die if
negotiable.
you don't. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's not really a negotiation on that. Like, do it or like you going to prison, bucko. We don't play that. So, but of course, like I wanted to, but there's still this underlying like they absolutely need me to. Versus you're describing a dynamic where it's like I desire to do those things out of consideration for her, not because she's a dependent and needs me to do anything in particular. She's taking care of herself prior to us meeting, but that's how I'm choosing to lead my marriage, you know. And I think something that with our podcast that we're talking about as of late, when we talk about manhood, um, I always explain it this way. Scripture says, submit to one another as unto Christ before it walks through our individual roles. I always tell people like this: men submit from the front, women submit from the back. And what that means is we submit by high levels of consideration for the needs of the people behind us when we get ready to make a choice. They
That's
submit by,
leadership. Yeah.
right, exactly. So that's leadership. They submit in the sense of, I'm going to trust that he considered me. So when
Yeah.
he makes a decision, even if I'm not 100% on board, I know he's already thought about how it's going to impact me. So I'm going to follow his decision making process. Does that sound like pretty accurate to you?
That sounds like the perfect example of it. What I will come back to that is we're human beings too. So I'm still working out my sanctification. So I'm
Oh
not
yeah, we all
100%
are.
perfect. The desire is there, but the part of what I've learned is there's the element of what you want to do and also the element of what you have like you should do. There's certain days where you don't want to do certain things or be a certain way, but they need you to be, right? Like that is the like dying to oneself for the sake of your part, like putting their needs ahead of your own. Like that is that part. And it's not always like, oh, I want to do that. Like there's days you wake up, I'm fucking tired. I don't want to pray tonight. I just want to go to bed. I don't want to read the Bible, but like you do it because it's like love is more than an emotion, it's a verb, right? So it's an action, it's a service. And so continuing to choose love every single day, it has to be a conscious decision. And thankfully, and this is where I'll put in like the whole like submitting from the front thing is the word submit is still there. Like if I am not submitting to like
A
an
higher
authority
purpose.
above me,
Yep.
I don't know where I'm going. So how are you going to trust me and my decisions, right? So like when I am more in line with gospel rhythms, right? Whether I'm praying, I'm regularly in my word, regularly going to church in brotherly community of godly men. When I am following those rhythms, that other part's not nearly as like it's more easy. It's easy. It's more natural. The farther I drift away from that, even if it's just for a week or two, I fight my flesh more. And my flesh, and let's be honest, as human beings, our flesh is me centric.
Yes.
It's not other centric. Like our default setting is me. And so like I think that you're the most blessed thing about a marriage is that on a daily basis, if you truly care about that person, you are confronted with the fact that you are a selfish human being and you are
Right.
making an active choice to not be selfish today. You're being like, and I would say with kids, now you have to make more than one active choice every day,
Yep.
especially as they get older, right? Like you have to make
Yep.
like I do not want to clean up that damn mess right now, but like
Ooh.
like, okay, I want
Listen,
to yell
man.
at you right now because you made a mess on the table, but instead I'm going to tell you, baby, go over here. We're going to clean this up together. This is what you do when you make a mess. I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to be a loving dad. But like, yeah, like you're confronted with that on a daily basis. Like it's not, you don't get it. You don't get like a hall pass. Like you don't,
Right. Yeah, you don't
and
get
through
days
that,
off per se.
God works on you every single day, and he
Absolutely.
chips away at that selfishness. He chips away at that ego that is centered around me mentality. And I mean, I've been married for not that long so far, and it's been like already a fairly monumental like transformation internally within me.
I think that's what scripture means by crucify your flesh daily. It's that daily ongoing process of choosing to walk with God. And kind of like we talked about on the last episode when we interviewed me, which was, putting God at the center of all things and letting him add the other pieces. I think a lot of us find ourselves trying to be so holy in our own like will, like our
Yeah.
power, our will to be disciplined enough instead of filling ourselves with God at all times so that he can do the pruning and the purging process through us. And I think that's kind of what you're saying there. So definitely, guys, make sure that y'all are prioritizing your walk with God and let Him do the change of your heart because He restores our soul. We don't.
And you're submitting to that because you're trusting you occupy that role too. You're trusting God. You're trusting his role, his purpose and path for your life.
I'm
And so
having some
in
kind of
trusting
video
that,
glitch here. Is your screen of you look okay?
yeah, everything was great on my side.
Okay, yeah, just corrected.
Cool.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
got the
Sorry.
recording on my side too, so it's cool. Like, we're good. But yeah,
That's
it's
all
kind
I'm
of
trying to
like
make sure.
we
Yeah,
can understand that because as the woman trusts the man, so we trust God, so we trust Jesus, right? So like we are submitting to his will, to his plan and purpose for our life, not our own. And sometimes those come in direct conflict with what we want to do. And so like I didn't want to lose my gym that I spent $750,000 in like almost a decade of my life building. I did not want to lose six
right,
inches of my small intestine when they removed that from surgery.
right.
I did not want to be stripped of my identity. I did not want to go through any of that stuff. But it wasn't my will. That was God is like, no, that is not the path I have for you. This is the path that I have for you. And there's probably going to be some forks in the road that I'm not aware of right now that are coming down the road. There probably will be.
Absolutely.
I'm freaking 37, or 38. I don't even know how freaking old I am. 37. I'm 37. I was born in 88. That's I can do
There
math.
you go.
Yeah, I was born in 88. I'm 37.
Well, we're running pretty long here, so I want to do a couple of little kind of spitfire questions before we get ready to wrap all this up. Um, so what are your plans for bodybuilding? I know we had that conversation with me. What are you planning on doing? I know you have a show coming up. Tell us about it.
So I've got my first show coming up in October. I believe it's the 20th. It's just a a warm up tune up show. It's here in San Antonio, and then but the real one is Masters Nationals at or sorry Masters USA's, which is in Vegas, and
Yeah.
that's November 21st. So the goal is, and I will say this every time I compete now, is to bring a package to stage that I am proud of. So
Mhm.
did I improve? Obviously, my dream since I've been what, 20 years old, 19 years old, is to become a pro. I have no delusions of grandeur that I'm going to be like stepping on the Olympia stage. I'm 5'10", white boy that is 38. I mean, I still think I can do really well. I think I can turn pro. That's the goal. And I made a promise to Alicia, turn pro. I'm going to do a pro show, and then right off into the sunset. and
Right.
well, I'm going to train for the rest of my life like a bodybuilder, and I just won't be on the competitive scene anymore. But I don't see my love and passion for training like this ever disappearing. I just see the focus and the time allocation being shifted a little bit more towards family, to building a business, to she's this is something that it kind of this is a hard one, and you might deal with this too, but like she is behind me 110% with this, and she's giving up, or at least pressing pause on a lot of things that she really cares about. And so I love her, and I want her to be fulfilled as much as me. So we're gonna do stuff together. Like we're gonna do stuff together. So with our gym, with our training, with traveling, she loves to dance. I don't love to dance, but she's gonna get me into dancing.
We're gonna get you right, bud. You got that.
So we're gonna spend some time, and I do believe this is important, like especially for men that are going through prep. Um, they put a lot of stuff on hold while you're prepping, a lot of time, right? We normally, this has been a routine, like date night on Saturdays nights, like go out, have a meal, go do something. That hasn't happened since prep started. Like we went out one time, but like she had a meal and I just sat there and like ate my Tupperware. But that I think it's important to, you'll never pay that back, but you need to make them a priority to make sure that they
Yeah.
know that you appreciate them and the time and the things that they're putting on pause that are essential for them, like date nights, those, like being able to pick up and go on a weekend trip, like that stuff's important. Like, and so like giving back, making sure that you're present. There's a time in every person's prep if they get truly lean enough where they are mentally and emotionally just like very flat, like there's not a lot of energy to go around. You got to give that back. You got to pay that back. So like that is the goal this year, is to compete. If I win my pro card, freaking awesome. If not, go back into the off season. But regardless of how that looks like, after the competition season is done, we're going to spend some time, together. Probably going to go on a trip. Probably going to travel a little bit, have some fun. Yeah,
And just enjoy each other, man. I
yeah,
love to
yeah.
hear that. That's awesome. And then I know we talk a lot about parenting, and I don't really know this. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, but y'all do have kids in your future. That's something y'all are wanting to
We
do.
we we want kids in our future. If God is so gracious to give them to us, like both of us, we've been at a point in our life where like, well, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Then we met each other like, oh gosh, we do really want kids. And so, and we're trying, but like we haven't,
Okay, yeah.
like it, that is, if it happens, that it will be an absolute blessing. We want them, yes.
Okay. I'll definitely be in prayer and agreement with you guys about that, that if it's God's will, that definitely comes to fruition. So as a fun question surrounding that a bit, you know, when y'all get ready to have a kid, what do you want to have first?
What do I want to have? Uh, I can tell you what Alicia wants to have.
Okay, what does she want to have first?
She wants to have a boy. She wants to have a little boy. And here's why. For one, she's always wanted a little boy, but two, she knows that I am going to be such a sucker for a little
A
girl.
little girl.
Like, yes, I will be the biggest softie in the world. That girl will come out so spoiled. She's like, I don't want to be the disciplinary all the time, and you just be the fun dad who just like is their best friend and does whatever they want. And I'm like, I can't disagree with you. I think I will be a complete sap. I already know it. Like I already know it. So
My daughter is a
that's the
daddy's
best I
girl
got
for
for you is
sure.
what she wants. And me is
Be like,
I hope they come out with my last name. That's what I hope. That's all I
there you go. There you
hope.
go. My man, my man. All right, so before we get out of here, guys, we're gonna go over a couple of photos that Tim shared with me. I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to share screen here really fast and get that going.
Do I have to give you the permission to
Uh,
share?
yeah, you have to give it to me. But yeah, my daughter is such a daddy's girl. I call her princess more than I call her by her name. Like she's done for. Like whenever guy comes along, my man, you better bring your A game because good luck with that.
You should be
I
able to
gotta tell
share
you,
now.
I gotta tell you a funny story while I'm looking all this stuff up. My daughter became a steak snob because I take her on daddy-daughter dates. And one
Steaks.
day we went, I'm telling you. So one day she went out with her mom for her birthday and they went to some other place and they had steak options and my daughter wanted to try one. And sure enough, she bites into it, she chews. Hmm, this steak's a little hard to chew. Oh, is it now?
I like mine medium rare. This is more medium.
Yeah.
That's
Like exactly, I'm telling you, she got it honest, man. It's hilarious. All right, share screen here really quick. Here we go. Is it sharing screen? Let me see if I can pull this up.
no, it's
All
not.
right.
I don't see anything yet. Let me
Okay.
let me see if I can do it from over here. Ah, let's try that. Try to share again.
Okay, let me go back and let me see what's happening here. Uh-oh. There we go. Expand. Excuse us, guys. We're getting this together. Show screen. Entire screen. Start. There we go.
There we
There we
go.
go.
We're full share. Oh, that's weird, huh? There we go.
All right. So really quick, Tim, we're gonna go over a couple of these photos. Tell us what we're looking at here. So I'm gonna start here with the big family photo. What's this photo of?
So this guy here in the red, that is my dad. These are a couple, I guess, great uncles. This is my uncle, and that chubby sucker with the smile on his face, that's me.
Hey, there we go.
I
All
don't even
right,
know how
hold
old
on.
I was there.
And when was this? What's this shot?
This was my very first bodybuilding show in Reno. This is my little brother Jake. Yeah, I was pretty skinny, but same tattoo. It's a verification.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
used to have hair. I used to have hair, and but I just have the same tattoo. But yeah, that's my first bodybuilding show. I think I took
Okay.
dead last.
And was this whenever you were sick that time you were telling us
Yeah,
about?
they took this photo right before they put me under for that surgery because it was COVID.
Mhm.
You couldn't have anybody in the hospital, so it was like I was there for the
Right.
whole day by myself. Yeah,
Okay. And then a couple of little fun shots here. I like these wedding photos.
yeah,
Y'all
that
are
was the
adorable.
wedding photo.
Yeah. Look at this guy. He's happy, bud. I love that. I love that. All right. And then we got a couple bodybuilder shots. I'm gonna start with this one because this is fucking gnarly shot here. Look at that, guys. That's a sick
And yeah,
most
I
muscular,
got a little
dude. dude.
bigger and I lost a lot of hair. That's
There you go.
yeah.
That's like for most people, that's a rite of passage. Going bald is like the next step to bodybuilding for most.
It shows that you don't do well with DHT is what it shows.
Right, for sure. I've been taking some just in case, but genetically, I think I'm gonna be good for a while. Got some pretty gnarly hair here. A couple of the stage shots here, guys, really quick on stage there. Then some before and afters, and just seeing him at some different phases of his bodybuilding. I don't know if you guys hopefully can see all these really well.
Yeah, it was like
So,
pixelated, but that was like probably 4 weeks out from that last competition.
okay, and then real quick. So, is that still really pixelated on your end? Can you
Yeah, it's
see
super
those?
pixelated over here, but the one on the left, that's the first show that I ever won. I was still natural at that show. And then this one here that was probably 4 weeks out from the last show that I did. I know there's probably, I would say, a good 40-pound difference between the two. And a lot, I would argue I'm a lot leaner too on the one that I have
Yeah, you
muscles
can
on.
tell you're much tighter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe they're coming out so pixelated right now because
And that's
I
yeah,
can see
that's
them pretty good on my end.
So this was what I looked like after the surgery, because I couldn't train. And funny enough, the doctor told me not to train. He's like, you got to take 8 weeks off. And I didn't make it 8 weeks, and I ended up re-tearing the damn suture, and I had to go back in and
Yeah.
had to sew up. And the doctor started laughing at me when I walked in. He was like, "We all took bets on how long it would be until you were in here." He's like, "What'd you do?" I was like, "I was just doing overhead press." He's like, "That's more
Just
than a gallon of milk. That's more than a gallon of milk."
Yeah, guys. I'm sorry about how blurry these are, guys. It must be something my phone's doing. But here goes, and then just I'm sure we're getting into prep for or throughout a prep, just getting
No,
back
so this was
development.
actually the same point in prep. So this one, the one on the right, is actually here at the Muscle Factory.
Yeah, I see that.
Just like 4 weeks ago. And then the one on the left was at that same point out in prep for my last competition. So
Oh yeah,
that's like
dramatic growth.
14 months, 16 months difference of muscle that I put on. I was
Definitely.
proud of it because like my back was a bitch to build.
Yeah, your back looks great here, especially comparatively. Legs still looking great. Posing's a little bit better, I think, too.
A lot of it
Very
better.
good there.
And I figured out how to cover up the hair. It's a hat. That's the trick.
There you go. That's the name of the game. And these came out pretty clear as far as photos go, but you guys can see he comes in condition, he puts the work in, detail in the glutes, quads, chest striations, whole nine. So,
Yeah.
again, the
But
whole point of this podcast, you know, we're going to be talking about bodybuilding and life from a bodybuilder's perspective, and you can see that we live the life. Tell me what you're going to say there, Tim.
oh, I was just gonna say that the critique is still holds true because this was what when Flex told me he's like, yeah, you just need a little bit more size, like probably another 10 to 15 pounds to really fill out like specifically your upper body,
Mm-hmm.
like chest,
But
shoulders,
see, your
back,
legs look pretty
arms.
gnarly there.
Yeah, my legs have never been really a weak point, but my back and my chest were they just needed to fill out. I have a little bit longer arms, so like I need more thickness to kind of fill out some of those shots.
There you go. Well, all right. Well, guys, that's going to pretty much sum it up for us today. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about Tim. And again, y'all stay tuned. We're going to be doing a lot more here. Tim, that you want to close with anything?
No, this was a lot heavier than it's almost gonna be. But like we prayed about before, sometimes God brings stuff to conversations that we don't necessarily intend.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, again, we're gonna have all stuff in the caption. Be looking out for us to have more videos coming out. Please like, subscribe, share this with anybody who you think might be blessed by this interaction, and keep an eye out and an ear out. We're gonna be putting out a lot more stuff that's just revolving around manhood, godly manhood, being spirit-led, brotherhood, camaraderie, and as well as just talking about bodybuilder and meathead stuff.
Yeah.
As the season progresses and as we both get closer to our national shows this year. So y'all stay tuned.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you guys next week.